just want a little dedication to show them we're not better off alone. I like to think that history's got it wrong, 'cause we are the writers of this future classic song. Yeah. Love me if you wanna be my honey, if you wanna be my lover, if you wanna be my girl. So trust me, baby, you gotta stop lusting. You know it's superficial, it's triviality. take a leap of faith. We got a love that's worth the wait. Darling, you've been on my mind. Gonna love you to the end of time.
know the weather will get colder, that it can't always be spring. And when I pushed you in a stroller, you were looking up, singing life like a church hymn. You are gonna find your place, child. Of that much I know, I'm sure. Keep on laughing at the rain, I guess. Isn't that the place to start? Someday you will be stronger than you are now, but you will not know everything. And when the water's spilling over the bow, you'll still have me in the wings. You gotta get up to get down, kid. You gotta get down to get up again. You gotta get up to get down, kid. You gotta get down to get up again. Treat your mother like she's made of gold. After all, she brought you here. And if you're lost, go see the ocean. It will always help you steer. Someday you will be stronger than you are now, but you will not know everything. When the water's spilling over the bow, you'll still have me in the wings. You gotta get up to get down, kid. You gotta get down to get up again. You gotta get up to get down, kid. You gotta get down to get up again. Someday I will be weaker than I am now, and I still won't know everything. But when I'm passing up and over the clouds, I hope that you'll have learned from me. Someday you will be stronger than you are now, but you will not know everything. When the water's spilling over the bow, you'll still have me in the wings. You gotta get up to get down, kid. You gotta get down to get up again. You gotta get up to get down, kid. You gotta get down to get up again. Gotta get up to get down, kid. You gotta get down to get up again. You gotta get up to get down, kid. Hey, you gotta get down to get up again.
Should've let you just walk on by. Never even said hi. No, no. Then we would never know just how hard it feels to open up hearts, to have to let them go. But we can't turn back now, 'cause we've come too far to not leave with broken hearts. I guess something inside my soul just couldn't stand to let you walk away so easily. No, no. And maybe in time we can figure out just what these moments are all about. All we guaranteed is a little change. Oh, I don't want my heart to feel this way again. And I just need a little more time to make sure what we're doing is right. I just need a little more time to make sure that we're doing this right. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I figured that I'd stop by just one more time and let you know what's really on my mind. Oh yeah, we both got a lot to say, but the words escape. It never seems to be an easy way. No, no. I hope and pray we at least get just a one more dance. We decide if this love a chance. 'Cause we got enough to try. We just need a little more time. Make sure we get it right. Oh yeah, yeah. And maybe in time we can figure out just what these moments are all about. All we guaranteed is a little change. Oh, I don't want my heart to feel this way again. And I just need a little more